Hello, everybody. I'm Yossi Shaul from JFrog, and going to do a short presentation about metadata, and in specific metadata about binaries inside the Artifactory. A little bit about me. 13 and more years in the software industry. I led the development team of Artifactory inside JFrog. And at the moment, I'm working at the CTO office, leading the architecture of JFrog X-Ray, Mission Control, and Artifactory. So today, I'm going to present another side of Artifactory that I'll show you that it's quite powerful and quite necessary in order to pinpoint some of the production issues that you might encounter in your day-to-day work. It's going to be a demo-oriented little story that happens and happened to me more than once. So let's get started. Okay, so I told you before that it happens to me in the past that we used to have an application deployed in production. The application was called just root.war. No idea what it was, what version, which product it was when I got it. Okay, so in terms of figuring out, or let's start from the beginning. Why is it called like that? Oh, in the Java world, especially if you use Tomcat, you usually give you remove the version from the artifact itself, and maybe also completely change the artifact name. Like here, root.war, it makes sure that the product is deployed under the root context of the Tomcat web server. Okay, so it's not uncommon. It's not a made-up example. It's a real example. So when I have this kind of artifact and I want to figure out more, I can pick inside and look at the content of the file. It might give me more information. It might make me more confused. And I could also there's one thing, because I'm using Artifactory, and I know that one of the things that we store about artifacts is the checksum. Okay, every artifact that goes inside the Artifactory has its own unique checksum. I can use the operating system to calculate the SHA-1 checksum or MD5 checksum of it. And then when I have it, I can go to Artifactory. So if I go to the Artifacts tab, there are several searches inside Artifactory. One of them is the one that I'm looking for is a checksum-based search. Over here, I can paste the checksum that I just found out. Okay. Do a search, and we found the artifact. Okay, so from a root.war that I didn't have any clue what it was, I can now see that it resides inside Artifactory. Those are good news, because from now I can start to track down and figure out more information about this artifact and things that will lead me to the maybe to the actual problem that I had. So from here, I can see that it's actually a demonstration that is using Artifactory itself, but it can be any kind of product that you use. So I have here the original name of the artifact. I have the version of the artifact. And from here, I can also go to the tree view inside Artifactory. It shows me the location of the artifacts and a lot of generic information about this artifact. So name, repository, who's the user who deployed it, additional information like timestamping, when it was created, if it was modified, when it was modified. We also know what is the license of the product in this case, and also the unique fingerprints, the different checksums of this file. Okay, so good. I have more information about it, but it's not enough. Okay, I'm missing still several critical data, like what is the version control revision, and if I have more information from the build system, we have automatic build system, and I want to link it back to the build system itself, maybe I can figure out additional information from there. So another nice feature that we have is that we have another tab in the generic info about the artifact that shows me if this artifact came from a build system, it has a link to the build system or to the build server that built it, to exact build that created it. So in this case, we have build ID number 6. If I click on it, it will take me, if I go to watch it in the CI server, in our case, we are using Jenkins, but it works similarly with TeamCity, Bamboo, and other supported continuous integration servers. So it took me to the CI server, and now I see the actual build that produced this artifact, this WAR file. Okay, so I can see a lot of information. I can pick at the log, and the process of the build itself, the plugins that we use, the Git revision. This is information that Jenkins and other build servers are capturing, and we also capture it and publish it to Artifactory, and we'll see it in a minute. Okay, so now you might wonder, how do we know about this information? How did I link it from Artifactory back to the build server? Okay, so the answer is that we at JFrog, we created a plugin a long time ago, and we keep adding to it. A plugin for Jenkins and the other supported build systems. And with this plugin, we allow you not only to work in an easier manner with Artifactory, we also collect lots of information, things that I talked with you and things that I demonstrate in a minute, about the entire build process, the dependencies that we used, the environment that it was built with. So let's just go over some of the configuration options. So if you're familiar with Jenkins, this is part of the UI. We are just a standard plugin inside Jenkins. So there are several parts for the Artifactory integration. First of all, it's the release management. I will talk about it and show release information specifically about the WAR file that I'm checking. Resolve Artifactory from artifacts from Artifactory. This is actually a very important configuration option from Jenkins. This one allows you, as the administrator of the one configuring Jenkins, to make sure that all the resolution is done through Artifactory. So even if a developer configures his local machine to go to fetch things from outside, bypassing your internal repository manager, once you do it here in Jenkins, it makes sure that all the dependencies are resolved from the Artifactory that is configured here, from the specific repositories, usually virtual repositories, that you can select from here, including the specific permission that you probably give for Jenkins. So this part is to force resolution from Artifactory. If we scroll down a little bit more, you'll see other plenty of options for working with Artifactory to deploy your own product. So starting with, again, choosing conveniently from the UI the target repository, the repository for the release artifact, if it's a release build with release version. Usually it will be a staging repo that you run some tests on before it's going public. There's a target snapshot repository. If you need something more advanced, you can also select a plugin that will be executed once the build is completed. Additional options that you can do, whether it's Maven or other supported system, is you can filter which modules you want to deploy. Maybe you don't want the entire all the artifacts that were produced, maybe just the distributables. So you can do it from here. And the really nice thing that we are doing in the plugin is the capture and publish build info. So this part is the actual metadata collection. So what we do is that when you are using the JFrog Artifactory plugin, we execute the build tool with our own plugin for the build tool. We collect all the information that we can from the tool. We integrate it, we merge it with the metadata that we collected from Jenkins, and then we ship it along with the artifacts and JSON file with all the metadata to Artifactory. And this is the thing that I showed you before, and we'll pick it at it again. You can also capture metadata, run license checks, and some other things that we don't have time to talk about today, but it's things that you can check later on. Okay, and once the build is completed, here I have several builds. The builds that were successful and we deployed the build info to. We have links back to Artifactory. We have links that allows you to promote certain artifacts or a bunch of artifacts for this specific version. So we came from build number 6. I want to go back from here to Artifactory and show you some of the options that, some of the metadata that we collected. So we can also, if I drill down to the build itself, there's also a link from here. So let's click on it. So it took me back to Artifactory. And here I can see basic information about the build. So the name of the project, the build number, the CI server and the CI server version that created this artifact, the build tool and build tool version, how long it took, and who's the user who triggered the build itself. This is nice, but we also have other interesting things. So the publish module, so it's this part is a Maven multi-module build. So we list all the modules that we created with the version. For each one of them, we have the number of artifacts that we created and deployed to Artifactory, and the list of dependencies. Now, the nice thing about here, I can drill down for each module. Okay, and if I can drill down, you will see the list of artifacts that we deployed, and on the bottom, the list of dependencies and the scope of the dependencies that we used. Now, the nice thing about it is that those are the actual dependencies, with all the transitive dependencies that we use in the build, with all the versions resolved. So it gives you an exact picture of which artifacts you used for the build. No surprises. You can also optionally capture environment variable, including OS environment. Here I didn't activate it. Maybe it's in another build. No. Okay, so some environment variables. If it's Java, so we also collect the Java system properties. And with this information, you can create a fully reproducible build. Okay, so sources is in some cases not enough. Okay, you might have the sources, but you also want to reproduce the environment to be able to build it exactly as it was. We also have integration with Jira. So if you are using Jira internally, we can also list the various issues that were handled in the period since the last build. License collection, we have a built-in license detector, so we detect automatically the type of licenses, and we also allow you to manually tweak it. Another nice thing that we allow you to run a smart diff between the different builds. So if you have a new candidate for release and you want to make sure, like our release manager is doing, what are the differences in terms of dependencies, what I used to have in previous version, and what are the newer versions or the newer packages that I currently have. So we have a very nice overview of showing you your own artifacts, which new artifacts you created, or what are the differences from the previous release. And usually the more interesting part is the changes in dependencies. So we show exactly which dependencies were updated, if you added new dependencies or removed dependencies. And if you are really interested, you can also see the difference in the environment that you use to build the product. Okay, there also another nice thing that I showed you, that there is a release management supported inside from the Jenkins plugin and inside Maven, and this is where you can promote a specific build from staging repo to a QA repo to a final distribution repo. And when you do it, you can do it from the UI, you can automate it from the REST API. We also record this information over here, and you can later on track and see exactly who promoted this specific artifact that I showed you at the beginning, and what are the stages that it took. So I see that it was deployed to the staging repo, it went to QA, somebody did a QA and promoted to production. Probably not the best QA since it contains a severe bug, but it allows you to see all this information and figure out what went wrong. Okay, so thank you all for listening. If you have anything more questions and things that you would like to know, I'm at the booth of JFrog. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you.